welcome to How Can Civil Engineers and Architects Collaborate Effectively? My name is Juliana and I work in marketing here at MicroCAD. And today's presenter is Tim Corey, our applications specialist. At today's webinar, we will be sharing some key tips and tricks to guarantee an effective collaboration. Throughout the webinar, you can ask a question at any given point on the left-hand corner. You can ask Tim to revisit a step or ask any questions. This is your time, and we want you to make the most of it. And in the upper left-hand corner, you will find links to our social media, website, and YouTube channel. Make sure to check out the last one. We post all of our webinars there at the end, so you can share with colleagues or rebudget it on your own time. And without further ado, we'll pass it on to Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hello. I'm trying to share my screen with you all. There we go. Okay, so you should see my screen now.
Yeah, we see it.
So this, as Juliana said, this presentation really is to show both civil engineers and architects how they will collaborate when one uses Civil 3D, another uses Revit, and how you can make the civil project line up with the architectural project so the surveyors can stake this thing accurately. Okay. There's a couple notes on the bottom there. The engineer needs to be using Civil 3D. Okay, so this is not for any other civil software. You might also be using InfraWorks. If you're not familiar with that, that's a Autodesk infrastructure product for early project preliminary type design, real fast quantities and things like that, and great presentation. And that will conglomerate design data from Civil 3D along with design data from Revit to make a single model which you can create animations of, etc. And I'll show you some of that. Just another note there. Oops, I need to hide that. That last note, both the architect and the civil might be asked for Navisworks compatible files. This is a file format, a software Navisworks manage that is used heavily by contractors. And so you can pass them your designs, DWG in the case of the civil engineer, or Land XML for surfaces, as well as Revit files, and then those can be brought together in Navisworks, and those can be used for Navisworks construction sequence animations. Okay, different ways of obtaining the shared reference point utility. Okay, if you're using Revit, then you'll log in at your account on Autodesk.com, and you can see here I've gone to product updates over here on the side. And then critically, be sure, and then I just type the word shared. Whoop, every time I click, it goes up a page. I just type the word shared in here in the search and then set my release date to all. If you don't do that, it's going to show at most 6 months. And this tool was released more than 6 months ago, so you wouldn't see it. You could type shared reference point utility all day long, and you won't see it unless you set that release date. Now, if you're a Civil 3D user, in order to install this routine, don't do anything. Just go to your Toolbox tab of the tool space, and you'll see here under Miscellaneous Utilities, in fact, I can show you. Okay, it's right here on the toolbox. Here's my tool space, prospector settings, etc. There's toolbox. Go into miscellaneous utilities, shared reference point, and then I'll right-click on export shared reference point and execute. That runs the routine. Okay. Now I'm not going to run it this moment, but we will go through it. I'm going to skip this for now. Okay. Here's really step one in the process. From the building designer side or architect side, what's going to happen is you're going to export your building from Revit in order to create a DWG file, which is an AutoCAD file, that the civil engineer can use, can import, place, okay? Couple of notes there. A simple sketch is fine. Okay, just be sure that the coordination point, some corner on the building, and orientation point, which is a point along a line on the building that you're going to use to rotate, okay, or the civil engineer is going to rotate to. Okay. Second note there, if you want to supply a cleaner drawing, use the visibility graphics filters to isolate your exterior walls. Instead of sending this with interior walls and text and all that sort of stuff, what you want to do is isolate those exterior walls. So then the civil gets a much simpler drawing file. And I'll show you how to do that here in a moment as well. Okay. Whoop. Oh, I do that a lot. So then the civil engineer is going to take that drawing that you export, the architect export, and insert that into their Civil 3D based design file. Okay, and then they'll move it and rotate it into place where it belongs. Okay. They're going to take into account any municipal restrictions, setbacks from property lines or setbacks from other buildings, and et cetera, et cetera. And then here's how you isolate your exterior walls. So I'm going to go ahead and go through that for you. That's in Revit here, okay? I already have a filter set up that I've done, but what I'm going to do is show you how you set one up. So typically what I would do is I would copy the floor plan. Oh, duplicate, sorry. Okay. Level 1. Exterior. Okay, so I go in here, okay, and then I go up and look at my visibility/graphics overrides here under Edit. All right. Look at my filters. What I want to do is add a filter that's, I've already created some in here. I have exterior walls already created and interior. Let me edit. I'll get rid of those. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a rule-based filter. So I need to create a new one. Exterior. Okay, what object type is this referred to? It refers to walls. And what's the rule? Walls, if I go function of the wall equals exterior, okay, so there's one filter. Then I'm going to also do one for interior, so let's do a new filter, interior. Okay, and this one will also be walls, right? And function equals interior. Okay, so now I need to set my visibility for these. Where's my filters? Okay, so we have to add exterior, add interior, and then I'm going to take interior and say you're invisible. Let's apply that. Okay, I also would need to go in and edit this. Well, that should get rid of everything. Model categories. I should turn off everything except walls. There we go. That way I don't have to see the doors. Okay, so this really is what I need to send over from Revit now to the civil engineer or the civil department if we're a multi-discipline firm, right? Okay, so let's export that. So we're exporting an AutoCAD DWG format. Okay, what am I creating? Medical office. Well, I'm just going to call it medical office exterior walls and say OK to that. So that makes a DWG file. So what happens next then, and you pass that on to the civil, of course. So they're going to come in here. I'm going to get rid of this. Do I want to? That's just a feature line. All right, so now what I'll do is I'm in Civil 3D, as you see here, Civil 3D 2023. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to insert that drawing. Okay, go here to Libraries, go pick the drawing I want. Medical office, exterior walls. Now it takes a moment or three for it to load it up. What's happening is it's going to allow me to bring in the whole drawing as a block. It's also going to list every block that's in that drawing, if there are any. This just takes a moment. Okay, so there it is. Now I'll just bring this over. All right, let's click it. Where do you want to place it? I'm just going to place it arbitrarily here. Looks like I brought it in twice. Okay, so here's that model. Okay, so I would just take this and move it. And this is all manual work here. Okay, just turn off my O-snap. I put it roughly where I want it, right? Now, if I want to clean up this drawing, I can do that. I could explode that down into line work and clean it up so all I have are the exterior lines. Now in this case, I'm going to go ahead and keep it as it is. And what I'll do then is I'll take this and move it into place. I'm going to move, picking up at this end point and placing it at this end. Okay. Then I'll rotate it, RO, about this end point, and I'll say by reference, and I'll say from here to here matches this. Okay. All right, so that looks pretty good. So what I need to do now is I need to create the shared reference point. I've placed this building where I want it. I have it a certain distance off of property lines. I have it, you know, in other relations to other things, etc. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and export the shared reference point utility. So I go here to my toolbox on the tool space, right? And then in miscellaneous utilities, here's shared reference point. Right click on this and execute. Okay, what's my origin point? It's going to be this endpoint here. And then my second point, this is the angle point or the angular reference point. That's going to be this endpoint here. Okay. All that looks good. Make sure I set my drawing units, which are feet. Okay, and then what am I creating? What file am I creating? I don't need to call it civil. I'll just call it building footprint. How's that? SRP, shared reference point. You guys like acronyms? I try not to use them, but just broke my own rule. Okay. So we've exported that shared reference point now. So now what we do is we pop back over to Revit, and now you want to attach to that shared reference point. So that's here in add-ins, and here's import coordinates from XML file, shared reference point. See, what this is using is what's called land XML. You may have seen XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. Land XML is a derivative of that was designed by Autodesk and other companies that write civil engineering software many years ago now, back in the days of when we had Land Desktop. They used Land XML. That's when that first came out. But it makes it so that we can translate engineering data between different softwares. Originally, you know, between Civil 3D and, or Land Desktop and things like MicroStation, Terra Model, PackSoft back in the day, etc. Depending on how old some of you guys are, you might know some of those names. Okay, so my origin point is going to be this point here, right? That's that same point we picked in Civil 3D. And then my direction point is here, same point I picked in Civil 3D. And then what's the XML that was exported from Civil 3D? That's this, building footprint SRP, shared reference point. And I say open. Are you sure you want to? Yes, I am. Successfully created. Okay. So that's not the final step, though. So now what I have to do is I have to set my project location to equal the values that are coming from that land XML. So I go here to Manage, Location. Make sure you go to the Site tab and then pick that building footprint SRP. That's that XML file. Okay, and let's make current. Okay, I didn't really make that much of an angle on that thing. Let me do this. I'm going to take this and rotate it for you. So I want you to see, and just ignore that feature line there. So let's say it was rotated like this. I thought that's the best fit. Let me export that shared reference point again. Origin is here. END of that. Orientation point is here. Okay, we're in feet. I'll call it rotated. Okay, so now let's get back over here. Those are the two reference points. There's my rotated. Okay, so now if I set my location, this one I'm going, let's set this current, take this one and delete. Okay, that's current. See how now it picks up an angle from project north to true north because I rotated in Civil 3D that building footprint. So it's picking that up from that Land XML. So now you have the ability in your different views to view either project north or true north. Okay. So we've placed that. That's all good. So now I can take and I can publish my surface model. Okay. So I've got a surface that kind of covers this building pad, comes down here and daylights. That's all I want to send. Actually, that surface covers a bigger area, but I added a boundary with a 3D polyline to clip that off. So I'm not sending as huge of a surface. So what I'm going to do from here in Civil 3D is I'm going to publish my surface. That's up Collaborate. I knew it was up there somewhere. Okay, on the Collaborate tab, here I have Publish Surfaces. Now, this has to go to your Autodesk Docs account. This is not something where you're going to export a DWG or export a Land XML or something like that for the surface. You publish and it goes to Autodesk Docs, and that's your only choice. Now, there is a third-party app, I understand, that will let you, if you did export to Land XML from Civil 3D, there is a third-party app that will let you bring a Land XML into Revit. But I don't have that or use that. We're doing it the purely Autodesk way, which is this. Here's my output file, FG shared. I'm going to call it 002. Okay, I don't want all the rest of these. I just want the FG surface, okay, which is a composite of some others. Okay, so that published the surface. So now in Revit, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to a site view. Okay. Now what I want to do is add that surface in here now. First thing, let's look at my elevations. Okay, so we've set our elevations already here. so that we match, we're 2 feet above the finished floor coming in from that surface for our level 1. Level 2 goes to 10 feet above. Level 3 is 20 feet. Okay, so I set these ahead of time, so now my building is placed in 3D already. Okay, so we go back to site. I'm ready to insert, where did we go? Insert, link topography. So this, like the export or the publish of the surface, requires that you be going to your Autodesk Docs account for this. Which, as you can see, is a little bit slow for me all the way out here in California. I don't know if that's why, but it does take a few moments there. Okay, then here's that FG shared 002. Okay, so these are published surfaces. I'll pick that and say link to that. And we will align this. Okay. And there we have our topo, and we have our building. Now, if I want to go to a 3D view, there we go. There's our 3D view. And of course, you can adjust. For those of you that are not Revit users, this is how you change the visual style in Revit. Okay. Now maybe I would move that building up just ever so slightly there. Some different visual styles. And then of course with Revit, it's easy enough to go, put your materials on the roof and the walls and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so there's a quick overview on how you can collaborate between Revit and Civil 3D to get your buildings. I want to show you, or to put your topography in with your project building. Okay. Here's an example of a little bit more complex building. Okay. These couple of quick pictures are to show you some things that you can do if you merge the designs together in InfraWorks. So in this case, I've taken a site that we captured with the InfraWorks model builder, where you just put a window around an area. It captures the terrain and roads and buildings and aerial photos in that area. Then we designed Civil 3D corridors on the site. Whoop. Okay. I got to get used to not pressing buttons. Okay. And then what I did is just went up into a 3D view, took a snapshot. Okay, you can see the building, you can see a pond that we added, a couple of different roads. Okay, stands of trees that we added as part of InfraWorks. And then here's a fly around animation of the site that was created with InfraWorks. This is the sort of thing that takes, not even minutes. I mean, really saving it to the AVI file takes longer than actually creating the animation usually. And you'll see we do a nosedive at the end of this. Whew. Looks pretty good. Okay. So these animations are real easy to use and can utilize the data that you sent over from Civil 3D as well as from Revit. Put it all together. So that's about what I had to say. I think Huli may have a couple of questions that she has gathered. And I'll be happy to...
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. And yes, I have a couple of questions here. The first one is, as a Civil 3D user, can I import a Revit or VT file directly into AutoCAD?
No, from Revit, you have to export to a DWG. And then you can import the DWG, or insert would be the command. You can insert that into your Civil 3D drawing file.
Got it. Thank you. And the second question is, can I import an AutoCAD DWG into Revit?
Yes, absolutely. Insert link CAD or import CAD, either one of these commands will read a drawing file. Okay.
Okay.
So if I've gone in with my Civil 3D and I've laid out the roads and the parcels, like with 2D line work, and I want to see those in Revit, I can just import the drawing file. Okay.
Amazing.
Everybody, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tim. And as a reminder for everybody, if you want to learn these topics in detail, you can always take a custom training with Tim or someone else on our team. We also offer group classes online, so be sure to be checking the MicroCAD website for future webinars. We have it coming up next tomorrow, why everyone is using BIM for construction management. Then we have on April 6th, how to extend your capabilities beyond 3D design. On April 13th, we have reality capture with scanners, with Leica scanners. And then we also have another one on April 20 about Bluebeam tools. So yeah, make sure to be checking our website for future webinars. So thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Tim. That was great.
You're welcome. Everybody, thank you, and I'm available if anybody ever has questions, etc. Just contact me at MicroCAD.
Absolutely.
All right on.
Bye-bye.